Welcome to Planet Explore. Thank you for joining us today. The thousands of you online joining us from over 140 countries. This is the Planet community, and we're truly global. We're also from a diverse range of industries, from agriculture to forestry, energy to government, finance to insurance, education and research, mapping, more. If this is your first Explore event, welcome, and thank you for joining. If you're returning, welcome back. Great to see you. Every year, we gather as many people as possible, customers, partners, users, investors, friends, enthusiasts, to join us in a discussion about the state of the planet, the ways we can use our data from space to help smarter decisions down here on Earth. We have an exciting two-day lineup for you. The theme this year is Global Connection. On the first day, we're focusing on sustainability, and the second day is on transparency and global security. So let's get right to it. Before we go global, I wanted to start a little closer to home. I don't often share personal stuff like this, but I thought it would be interesting to share a bit about my journey and why I have such strong conviction about Planet's mission. Through my life, I've been fascinated by the stars and the night sky. When I was a kid, I saved up my pocket money for a pair of binoculars. And when I was 16, I really wanted a telescope, but couldn't afford one, so I built my own. This interest in space led me to pursue a career in physics. I first started at the furthest reaches of the cosmos, in cosmology and the Big Bang. Then studying galaxies, and then planets, and then the moon. And I was lucky enough to be part of 2 NASA missions that went to the moon. And then finally, back to the Earth. Because when you look out, you realize that the life on Earth is so very special. I realize, as many people do when you look out, that the most important thing we could do, even as space geeks, was to help life here on the Earth. In many ways, Earth is a spaceship. We're 7 billion astronauts who are charged with taking care of Spaceship Earth. So that's, in short, how I went from building telescopes on Earth, looking up at space, to building telescopes in space, looking down here on the Earth. Now, talking of space, we're really experiencing a space renaissance, and it's resulting in seismic new capabilities. But it's not exactly what you're reading about in the news. So the space sector's seen rockets lower in cost about 4-fold, and satellites increase in cost performance about 1,000-fold. The latter is a rare leap for an industry, akin to the mainframe to desktop revolution in computing. But it's not the rockets or even the satellites. It's about the data. And I say that as a space geek that loves the rockets and the satellites. And it's not about the moon or Mars or space tourism for that matter. It's about the Earth. The upshot of these changes in rockets and satellite technology is that they're enabling the generation of and transportation of vastly more data than ever before. This is the space renaissance that I believe is most important, and this is what we'll be talking about here today. So that's a little bit of the technology. Now, let's put that into context of global affairs. I want to spend a moment on contextualizing what Planet does into the global economy. Today, we're seeing 2 mega trends in the global economy. The first is digital transformation, and the second is sustainability transformation. And Earth observation data can accelerate and, in fact, are foundational to both. Let me briefly explain what they are. The digital transformation of industries is where big data and AI are unleashing significant efficiencies across whole industries. It's happening in agriculture, in transportation, in forestry, in government, and more. And it's a huge, big business. It's trillions of dollar industries making efficiency gains of tens of percentage points. Planet delivers the data that is needed to create those efficiencies and reduce those costs in those sectors. Then there's the transformation to a sustainable economy. And what this means is basically taking into account natural capital. To do that, of course, you have to measure that natural capital. Planet can help countries measure their emissions, help companies measure their ESG goals. And we're seeing this happening now. As we reboot out of a COVID-induced recession, economies are trying to reboot into a sustainable economy. and it's no small matter. The European Union has put 25% of its budget dedicated to transforming to a sustainable economy. That's over €1 trillion. Here in the US, the bar has been set by industry leaders like Larry Fink of BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the globe, who posits that climate risk is investment risk, and that those companies that don't measure their ESG won't be able to access capital. That's quite the market signal. And of course, the E in ESG is the environment. And that's where Earth observation comes in, and in particular, the planet's daily scan, which is critical. COVID sped up the digital and sustainability transition. People were unable to travel and to do the traditional boots-on-the-ground work. So instead, they turned to satellite imagery to gather that critical information on the status of the crop's health, or the energy infrastructure, or construction site, or environmentally sensitive area. Digital transformation and sustainability transformation are generational, global shifts, and Planet is here to meet the moment. Every company, in every industry, will have to have a digital plan and a sustainability plan. And every government in every country will have to measure their emission standards and environmental resources. And I've said in the past, you can't manage what you can't measure. Action starts with the measurement. Planet's daily change of Earth that we capture is optimized to measure that understanding of interactions between humans and the environment. And we continue to build out a platform and an ecosystem so our data can be used with the other data to enable the insights required for decision-making for this new generation of problem sets. In short, the world needs Planet, and we are ready for the world. So with that, let me talk about some of the way the data have been making an impact on the world. Over the last year, we've had an eventful year on this Spaceship Earth. We've had COVID, of course, continuing. We've had disasters, fires, floods, and conflict. And whilst our main economic impact is to do with the digital transformation and sustainability transformation that I just introduced, Planet at the same time is helping with something else, which is bringing about global transparency, shedding light on critical events the world over. Let me share a few examples. In August, Planet's data of Kabul in Afghanistan was shared all over the world and used by volunteers and researchers to help the important evacuation efforts of people from that region for their safety. It was a tragic situation, but our data helped a little bit. In August, experts at the Middlebury Institute and 38 North used Planet imageries to spot a number of suspicious activities in North Korea. Analysis of our data revealed that one of the North Korean reactors was operational, as well as a nearby uranium enrichment facility. At both these facilities, our daily monitoring capacity allowed researchers to pin exactly when North Korea started to resume its nuclear weapon program and to calculate how much it was producing. And just last month, a researcher at Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto used our Planet Explorer to identify a substantial oil leak in the Gulf in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. The oil leak was found and authorities alerted, and the owner had indicated that 42 gallons had been spilled. Estimates using Planet's data, in fact, indicated that the spill was many thousands of gallons in size. Here in California, Planet supported the response to the damage of the Dixie Fire as part of a request from Plumas County. SkySat was used for optimizing the rapid deployment of public safety officials and drone teams into the burnt areas. Drones were used for higher resolution maps in targeted areas and then overlaid on our satellite imagery for a broader understanding of the damage. In July, record rainfall in Germany caused the largest natural disaster there since 1962. As the clouds cleared, Planet imagery was used by the German government to deploy first responders and relief efforts. When the waters receded, the PlanetScope imagery was used to assess the damage to the landscape and the natural habitats, using the day-before imagery of the floods to compare to immediately afterwards. This helped the authorities identify and assess the damage and prioritize site visits for further investigation. And last year, if you may recall, I mentioned the tremendous work of the journalists at BuzzFeed, who used our data to expose hundreds of potential Uyghur detention camps in China. I had said at the time that I thought it was one of the best pieces of investigative journalism I'd ever seen. Well, others thought so too. These journalists this year won the Pulitzer Prize. It's like the journalist equivalent of the Nobel Prize. It's a huge deal. And I want to say congrats to that team. They'll be speaking here at Explore tomorrow, so tune in to learn more. In each of these examples, from around the world, we see the power of timely global information at the hands of everyday users to enable unprecedented global transparency. No longer are these capabilities only in the hands of the powerful few. It's accessible to the masses to observe and take action. These examples, and literally hundreds more that have occurred in the last year, is how Planet's mission is coming to life. And I'm incredibly proud when I see them and appreciate all those that are doing the important work that enable them. So now let's talk about Planet's business. Whilst a lot has been going on around the planet, a lot has been happening at Planet too. One item you may have seen is that in July we announced we're taking Planet public. I'm really excited by this. It's an incredibly important milestone in Planet's history. Let me back up just a tiny bit, because we just hit our 10th anniversary as a company. So 10 years ago, we set out our mission. And since then, we built the largest Earth observation fleet of satellites in history, built our data processing and analytics, and a platform on top of that. We built a business serving customers, such as you all, over 700 customers around the world. And it led to over 100 million in revenue last year, which you can now see from our public filings. But truly, it's the tip of the iceberg of our potential. That potential to accelerate that digital and sustainability transformation I mentioned. Far more people could benefit from Planet's data than presently do. And we want our data and insights to be in the hands of those that could benefit from it most, towards this oval vision of a sustainable and secure world. Going public gives Planet the capital and the platform to do exactly that. You see, Planet is ready for the public markets. We have an operational satellite fleet, a scale business, and so on. And the world needs Planet. We are feeling that pull, especially as the world switches to this sustainable economy. And what does it mean for you that Planet is going public? Well, firstly, let me reassure you that the products will continue. You don't need to worry about anything going away. And neither is our mission. In fact, we doubled down on it by going public as a public benefit corporation, which means that our mission is literally written into the charter of the organization. So it becomes the fiduciary duty of our board of directors to execute that mission. It's like the mission is written into the DNA of the company. The second, and perhaps most important upshot, is that we are accelerating. We now have the capital to invest in accelerating our products and customer services. Historically, we've been quite constrained, you see. We were a small startup company, and in the future, we'll be less so. And thirdly, you should expect more awareness about Planet as we broaden our outreach. So in short, Planet is going public to accelerate the commitments we've made to you, our customers and partners, and deliver the unique data and analytics and tools that you need to help you understand the rapid changes around the planet and make smarter decisions. It's a big moment for Planet. I'm really excited for it. And I also want to thank all of you that have partnered us over the years to help get Planet to this stage. You've believed in us. Going public, of course, means that many of our previously private financials are becoming public. Let me share a couple of the charts in those documents to give you a bit of the insight into the company. This chart shows Planet's growth in customers. Every quarter, we're adding new customers to our core vertical markets, from governments to agriculture and so on, as well as expanding in new vertical markets like forestry and finance. And this growth and expansion is driven by Planet's unique daily scanning mission, our scan that's invaluable to customers and partners in existing and new markets. It's also driven by the high-resolution SkySat system. And increasingly, we're seeing customers come in for one, say PlanetScope, and expand to the other, like SkySat, or vice versa. And also from the analytics that sit on top of that. On this chart, you can see Planet is building a diversified business across multiple vertical markets. This pie chart shows the revenue by vertical in 2020. I couldn't have cut this pie more equally if I had tried. At Planet, our ability to serve a diverse customer base across different vertical markets, traditional and new, is an indication that our product market fit is working. We've found product market fit, and we've only just scratched the surface of this potential. Our main business focus for now is on servicing those core markets here represented, not to the exclusion of others, but as the main focus of our attention. But in time, we envision expanding our unique data set to expand the pie, to bring value to many different customers in various different industries. I now want to spend a couple of minutes highlighting some of the use cases that struck me over the last year. In agriculture, we serve a range of companies, from large ag companies to ag tech startups. These organizations use our data to tell how well crops are doing in the field around the globe. And that helps farmers increase crop yields and reduce fertilizer. This year, we announced a new partnership with the US Department of Agriculture. They integrate our base maps into their data sets to prepare hundreds of surveys and reports about the sector. The reports are critical to understanding food production, price fluctuations, the impact of natural disasters, and so on. But perhaps most excitingly, I want to introduce a new capability from our partner Farmers Edge. We entered a new agreement with Farmers Edge this year. They've been using our data for years to empower their customers to make data-driven decisions that benefit the farmer. And this year, they launched a new product in sustainable agriculture. This allows farmers to catch problems faster, react to crop stress in a timely manner, reduce the number of trips to field, and most importantly, make most out of crop inputs while reducing the environmental impact. Then we move to the government sector. We serve a wide variety of use cases across civil, state and local, and defense and intelligence government agencies. And the use cases are from disaster management, border security, emergency response, and we continue to see increasing demand from our government customers. Let me share a couple of examples from just the last month. We started a partnership with FEMA, the US Emergency Response Agency, to prepare and respond to natural disasters. In India, our data is being used to spot early signs of permitted and unpermitted land use and encroachment on public lands. And finally, and perhaps most excitingly for me as my former place of work and as a scientist, is our work with NASA. They recently expanded their contract with Planet to provide data to all researchers across all US federal civilian agencies and all NSF-funded university researchers. That's nearly 300,000 researchers across the US who now have access to Planet's data. Our data has already been used to publish a new research paper on average every 18 hours. So let's see what the effect of 300,000 more scientists will have on that. And this sort of effort is far from academic, actually. The research proves out use cases in agriculture and forestry and sustainability and more. So the research is great in of itself, and it's critical for everyone else's use cases too. Finally, let me talk about sustainability and in particular, two partnerships there. The time has come where sustainability has moved from niche to necessity, and Planet can help accelerate this transformation. So first, we announced a new partnership with Google. This one is with Google Cloud, and it's focused on developing joint go-to-market solutions in core vertical markets that need Planet's data and Google's powerful cloud platform. One of the first is in the area of sustainable supply chain tracking. We've helped a few key companies pioneering in this area to track their supply chains, but we want to bring those tools to everyone else. And with the combined power of our daily global data from Planet and the modern cloud infrastructure and compute on Google, the sky is truly the limit and for businesses and governments to drive efficiencies and mitigate their environmental impact. This partnership with Google will help facilitate this, and also relatedly, with our partnership with Google, I want to mention our work with NICFI and the Forest Deforestation Initiative led by Norway. We've made Planet base maps over the tropical forests around the world directly available through the Google Earth Engine platform. This will power advanced research, cutting-edge applications that monitor and reverse deforestation. This is critical for biodiversity and because it's our largest carbon sink. I want to provide an update on one of the big announcements we had earlier this year. In April, we announced Carbon Mapper, our fourth constellation of satellites. It's a first-in-a-kind collaboration that includes JPL, the state of California, and Planet, and with it, we're building a fleet of state-of-the-art hyperspectral satellites. These have 400 spectral bands and provide 30-meter spatial resolution. Their prime mission? To measure methane and CO2 point source emissions at the facility scale. What's exciting about Carbon Mapper is that with these 400 bands, the potential use cases are huge outside carbon and methane. It's like a fingerprint or a DNA sample of any point on the Earth's surface. It can be used, for example, in biodiversity, since we'll be able to tell species type immediately from orbit. And it's got many applications in defense and intelligence. And today I can share that Carbon Mapper has just received a $25 million grant from Bloomberg Philanthropies. That brings our total funding for led by the High Tide Foundation to $125 million. This new grant will particularly accelerate research in methane and biodiversity applications of the data. Now, every year we are inspired and frankly blown away to see some of what customers are doing, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in terms of applications with our data and the value they create to their organizations. And it's our job to continue to accelerate the products we give and the tools to enable you to answer the questions and have the impact on your work and business. This is our top priority. So let's talk about what Planet has coming on the product front. Our first announcement today is on SuperDove. We've achieved our daily mission. 2 years ago, we stood here and announced our SuperDove spacecraft that would be taking us from 4 to 8 spectral bands that are useful in agriculture and other key vertical markets, useful for machine learning and data science with all these extra pieces of information. The SuperDove is got huge horsepower underneath, producing 5 times more data per satellite per day than the prior generation of Doves. Well, having put over 100 of these into orbit on 7 rockets, we've now reached our daily coverage mission with SuperDove. So we'll continue the 4-band product for those that are using it, but we can also have now added the 8-band daily product too. Now, satellites are awesome, but data is our business. And in this vein, the second announcement I want to talk about is about a significant internal project that we had over the last 4 months. It's called Delta V. To us space geeks, Delta V means change in velocity. And let me give you a little bit of context first. So earlier this year, Kevin Wheel joined us as President of Product and Business. I'll be introducing him shortly for his keynote. But when he arrived and got up to speed with our capabilities and in meeting with many of our customers, he recognized that a lot of our clients didn't want any new satellites or new gadget of any kind for that matter. They wanted some of the simple and less buzzy but critical features for their day-to-day work. We picked 5 areas and a few dozen features and made this the focus of the entire company. It ranged from image quality and data consistency with PlanetScope to user interfaces and usage reports on the admin interfaces, to showing weather predictions for those users in the location of interest before tasking a SkySat. Pretty simple things, but they're important to our customers. It was a big effort, and I'm really excited by the results. I hope you'll be seeing them in the coming months if you have not already experienced them. Many of our customers have already expressed how happy they are with these core improvements, and Kevin will be talking about this project in his talk. He'll also talk about where we're heading next, and just as a prelude, it can be summed up with going up the stack. What we're trying to do is build out our partner ecosystem. Many of our partners ask us to do this piece of image processing or that piece of analytics so that they can focus on their vertical market. They want us to take the load off their shoulders. And so our goal is to continue to listen and improve to make better and better insights and answers that you need. This brings us to our third announcement. When we add 2 or more data sets, it always provides more value than the sum of their individual parts. So last year, we launched Fusion. This fused Sentinel, Landsat, and MODIS alongside PlanetScope data to produce a daily, color-balanced, radiometrically accurate, cloud-free mosaic. And this was mainly focused for the agriculture market, but the interest has been huge. So now I'm pleased to announce fusion with synthetic aperture radar. Our next step in the fusion line will be adding SAR data, in particular Sentinel-1. And just as importantly, we'll be improving our fusion scaling to enable the needs of that we're continuing to hear about from our customers. And for our fourth and final announcement, I'm pleased to here today introduce Pelican. Pelican is Planet's next generation of very high-resolution satellites. This constellation, all designed and built in-house at Planet, will be a follow-on to and upgrade of the SkySat fleet. I shan't be talking about the specific specs today. We have to keep some facts secret. But I can tell you that it will deliver significantly better resolution than the SkySat. It will be able to image even more rapidly, and it will have the capability for on-demand tasking and delivery of the imagery. These capabilities and more will benefit our customers in defense and intelligence to improve their situation awareness and protect their borders as events change, in civil government to speed up emergency response, in mapping to update high-resolution maps, and many other use cases besides. And with the combination of Pelican, PlanetScope, and Carbon Mapper, Planet will be able to deliver solutions for the growing ESG sector that span across many different vertical markets, supply chains, finance, insurance, and more. What's cool about Pelican is that it uses the same satellite platform, or satellite bus as we say, that we use for the Carbon Mapper satellite. So, in short, it's one spacecraft, 2 constellations, and numerous possibilities. And we're committed to delivering on these promises. Just as with SuperDoves, when we announced and we delivered, the same will be true for Carbon Mapper and now for Pelican. Now let me wrap up. In my opening, I referred to Spaceship Earth. I, of course, didn't come up with that term. It was the US ambassador to the United Nations, Adlai Stevenson, who in 1965 evoked the concept of Spaceship Earth. It was later popularized by Buckminster Fuller. But here's what he said. We travel together, passengers on a little spaceship, dependent on its vulnerable reserve of air and soil, all committed for our safety to its security and peace, preserved from annihilation only by the care, the work, and I will say the love we give our fragile craft. It metaphorically spoke to the challenge of our age, sustainability. Whether it's helping the world's organizations build a sustainable economy that values life and the environment, or delivering the transparency necessary to ensure a secure and just way of life, global daily data are fundamental to the life support system and to support Spaceship Earth and its crew of 7 billion humans and the incredible ecosystems aboard. While it might seem that sustainability and transparency are just the latest buzzwords, they're not. This is a mission to take care of our home and to protect life. I want to say thank you to you all, our customers, partners, sponsors, and global community, because you're all actors in executing this mission. We're doing this together. So we're excited to be here on this journey with you all. Enjoy the rest of the show.